Welcome to the step-by-step guide on how to build your own gaming PC. Building a gaming PC can seem like a daunting task, but fear not. This video is designed to guide you through every step of the process, from understanding the basics to installing the final components and even testing your new machine. But why build your own gaming PC, you might ask? Well, not only is it a fun and rewarding experience, it also allows you to customize your machine to your own specific needs and preferences. It can often be more cost-effective too. Over the next 20 minutes, we'll be breaking down the process into manageable chunks, making it easy for even the most novice of builders. So whether you're a seasoned pro or a complete beginner, this guide has something for you. Stay tuned as we unpack the process of building your own gaming PC. Before we start, it's crucial to understand the basic components of a gaming PC. Just like a well-oiled machine, each part plays a significant role in ensuring a smooth gaming experience. Let's break them down, shall we? First on our list is the Central Processing Unit, or CPU. Often referred to as the brain of the computer, it handles most of the calculations your games need to run. A faster CPU means a smoother gaming experience, particularly in strategy games and simulations. Next up is the Graphics Processing Unit, or GPU, which is essentially the heart of a gaming PC. This component renders the images, animations, and videos that you see on your screen. For those high-definition, realistic graphics we all love, a powerful GPU is a must. Then we have the Random Access Memory, or RAM. Think of RAM as your PC's short-term memory. It temporarily stores data that the CPU uses, helping your computer process information faster. More RAM allows your PC to handle more tasks simultaneously, which is crucial for running demanding games. The motherboard is like the nervous system of your PC. It's what connects all of your components together and allows them to communicate with each other. Everything plugs into the motherboard, so it's important to ensure it's compatible with all your other components. The Power Supply Unit, or PSU, is your gaming PC's lifeblood. It provides power to your CPU, GPU, RAM, motherboard, and other components. Make sure you choose one that can supply enough power for all your components. Lastly, we have storage. The two main types are hard disk drives, HDDs, and solid-state drives, SSDs. SSDs are faster and more reliable, but HDDs are cheaper and offer more storage space. Many gamers use a combination of both. Each of these components contributes to the overall performance of your gaming PC. It's like a symphony, where each instrument plays its part to create a beautiful piece of music. Except in this case, the music is your favorite game running flawlessly. Now that we've got the basics covered, we can move on to the actual building process. A clean and organized workspace is the first step in building your gaming PC. This is an essential truth, so let's talk about how to prepare. Clear off a large, flat surface. A table or desk would be ideal. Make sure there's plenty of room for all the components and tools. Spread them out, don't pile them up. You wouldn't want to knock over your precious graphics card while reaching for a screwdriver, now would you? Next, don't forget about anti-static measures. Static electricity can be a silent killer for sensitive electronic components. A simple way to avoid this is by using an anti-static mat or wrist strap. If you don't have these, you can also touch a metal part of your case to ground yourself. Finally, get your tools ready. A Phillips head screwdriver is a must. Some cable ties for cable management wouldn't hurt either. With our workspace ready, it's time to start building. The first step in the building process is installing the CPU. The Central Processing Unit, or CPU, is often referred to as the brain of the computer, and rightly so. It's responsible for executing the commands from the computer's hardware and software. Let's get started with the installation. The CPU is a delicate component like a rare gem and must be handled with care. Ensure you're grounded to avoid any static electricity that could potentially harm your CPU. Usually, you'll find a small plastic lever on the side of the CPU socket on the motherboard. Gently lift this lever to prepare the motherboard for the CPU. Now, carefully take your CPU out of its protective casing. Pay attention to the gold triangle on the corner of the CPU. This is your guide for the correct installation. The motherboard will also have a corresponding triangle or dot. The key here is to align these indicators. Gently place the CPU into the socket on the motherboard. Remember, it's not a game of strength but precision. The CPU should fit effortlessly into the socket with zero force. Once the CPU is in place, lower the lever on the side of the socket. You may feel a bit of resistance, but that's normal. Now that the CPU sits nicely on the motherboard, let's move on to attaching the CPU cooler. This component ensures that your CPU doesn't overheat while you're in the middle of an epic gaming session. Depending on the cooler you have, you may need to apply a small amount of thermal paste to the top of the CPU. Spread it evenly, then place the cooler on top, ensuring it aligns with the holes on the motherboard. Secure it using the provided screws, and voila! Your CPU is now installed and ready to work hard for your gaming needs. Remember, installing the CPU might seem intimidating, but with a calm mind and a steady hand, it's a breeze. With the CPU successfully installed, we can proceed to the next step. Let's continue building your gaming powerhouse. Next up, we have the RAM installation. Random Access Memory, or RAM, is like your computer's short-term memory. It temporarily stores data that your system is actively using, so it's important to make sure we install it correctly. The process begins with identifying the right slots on your motherboard where the RAM sticks will go. These slots are usually located near the CPU socket and are typically color-coded to help you match pairs of RAM sticks. You'd want to consult your motherboard's manual to confirm the correct slots for optimal performance. Now, let's get into the installation. Take your RAM stick and align it with the slot on the motherboard. You'll notice a small notch on the bottom of the RAM stick. This should line up with a corresponding ridge in the slot. If it doesn't, don't force it. Simply turn the stick around and it should fit perfectly. Once aligned, apply gentle yet firm pressure on the top of the RAM stick, pushing it down into the slot. You should hear a satisfying click sound as the locking clips at either end of the slot snap into place, securing the RAM stick. If you don't hear the click or the clips don't secure the stick, it could mean that the RAM isn't fully seated. In that case, remove it and try again. Repeat this process for each RAM stick you're installing. Remember, if you're using two sticks, they should go into the same color slots to enable dual-channel memory, which will give you the best performance. And there you have it. Your RAM is now successfully installed. This step is crucial to ensuring your system can handle multiple tasks at once, whether you're gaming, streaming, or running complex software. With the RAM in place, it's time for the motherboard to go into the case. But that's a story for the next scene. Until then, remember that building a gaming PC is like a puzzle. Every piece has its place, and when they all come together, you'll have a machine that's uniquely yours. Now we move on to installing the motherboard into the case. The motherboard is essentially the heart of your gaming PC, connecting all your components together. Installing it properly is crucial to the overall performance of your system. So let's dive in. Start by taking your motherboard out of its anti-static bag. Be sure to handle it by its edges to avoid static electricity damage. Now, look at your PC case. You'll see a large rectangular cutout. That's where your motherboard is going to sit. But before we place it in, we need to install standoff screws. Standoff screws are little hexagonal-shaped screws that raise your motherboard off the case, preventing any electrical shorts. Look at the holes on your motherboard and match them up with the holes in your case. You'll need to screw a standoff into each of these matching holes in the case. Some cases come with standoffs pre-installed, so you may just need to adjust their placement. Now gently place your motherboard onto the standoffs, aligning the holes on the motherboard with the standoffs. Once it's lined up, secure the motherboard using the provided screws. Don't be too heavy-handed though. You want these screws to be snug, not overly tight. With the motherboard securely in place, it's time to connect the power. You'll need to connect the 24-pin power cable and the 8-pin CPU power cable from your power supply to the motherboard. These plugs are keyed, meaning they only fit one way, so don't force them. If the connectors are not going in easily, they are probably facing the wrong direction. Once you've properly connected the power cables, give them a gentle tug to make sure they're secure. Remember, these connections provide the lifeblood to your gaming machine, so it's important they're secure. With the motherboard installed, let's turn our attention to the storage. And that's it for the motherboard installation. It might seem daunting at first, but as long as you're careful and patient, you'll have it installed in no time. Now let's move on to the next step of building your dream gaming PC. Storage installation is up next. In the grand orchestration of building your gaming PC, the storage is akin to the library, a place where all your games, software, and personal files are stored. It's where your system will look for the data it needs to perform its magic. So let's get straight into it. You'll have two main types of storage to choose from: the traditional hard disk drive or HDD and the modern solid-state drive or SSD. HDDs are the older technology and tend to be cheaper and slower, while SSDs are the new kids on the block, offering faster speeds but with a higher price tag. Now, to install your chosen storage device, first, locate the drive bay in your case. This is a rectangular slot, usually found at the front or bottom of your case. Slide your SSD or HDD into one of these bays until it clicks into place. Once your drive is snugly fitted in its bay, it's time to make the connections. You'll be dealing with two cables here, the power cable and the data cable. The power cable, as you might guess, provides power to your drive. One end of it goes into your power supply unit, and the other end goes into your drive. Next up is the data cable. This is the bridge between your storage device and the motherboard. One end of this cable goes into your drive, and the other end goes into a SATA port on your motherboard. Just make sure the connectors on both ends of the cable are facing the right direction before you plug them in. And there you have it. Your storage device is now installed and ready to store all your favorite games and files. Make sure everything is secure and all cables are correctly connected before moving on. With storage sorted, let's move on to the heart of the gaming PC, the graphics card. Now, it's time for the graphics card installation. Unleash the power of your gaming rig as we delve into the heart of its visual performance. The graphics card, also known as the GPU, is a crucial component that renders all the stunning graphics you see in your favorite games. To start, you'll need to locate the appropriate PCIe slot on your motherboard. The PCIe, or Peripheral Component Interconnect Express, is a high-speed serial computer expansion bus standard. It's often the longest slot and usually accompanied by a small clip at one end. This slot is where your graphics card will call home. Before you proceed, ensure that your motherboard's PCIe slot clip is open. This tiny piece of plastic secures your graphics card and prevents it from wiggling around once installed. If the clip is closed, gently push it open with your finger. Now take your graphics card. You'll notice a golden connector strip along one edge. This is what connects to the PCIe slot on the motherboard. Align this connector with the slot, ensuring the graphics card's fans are facing downwards towards the bottom of the case. This is important as it allows the fans to draw in cool air from outside the case to cool the card. Gently but firmly, slide the graphics card into the slot. You should hear a satisfying click as the PCIe slot clip closes, locking the card into place. If you don't hear this click, double-check to ensure that the card is properly aligned and seated in the slot. Once the graphics card is securely in place, it's time to provide it with juice. You'll notice one or two ports on the side of the card. These are the power connectors. Take the appropriate power cables from your power supply unit and plug them into these ports. Make sure they're securely connected. The graphics card requires a significant amount of power to run, so this step is crucial. Remember, patience is key. Don't rush and make sure every connection is secure. With the graphics card in place, we are almost at the finish line. And soon you'll be powering through your favorite games with stunning visuals and buttery smooth frame rates. Now that all the components are installed, it's time for the final steps. We're in the home stretch now, my tech wizards. With your gaming PC taking shape, it's time to get everything connected and up and running. Let's start with the remaining cables. Your power supply unit, or PSU, should have a number of cables left over. Don't worry, they all have a home. Starting with the largest cable, this is your main power connector. It's a 24-pin connector that powers your motherboard. You'll find a matching slot on your motherboard, typically on the right side. It might take a bit of gentle force, but it should click right in. Next, there's an 8-pin CPU power cable. This one connects to the top left corner of your motherboard. Again, it's all about finding the matching slot. Now let's talk about cable management. This is one of those areas where a little extra time can make a big difference. Not only does good cable management make your PC look cleaner, but it also improves airflow, helping to keep those components cool. Use zip ties or Velcro straps to bundle cables together and keep them out of the way. Now it's time for the exciting part, installing the operating system. If you're a Windows user, you'll need a USB drive with the Windows installer on it. Plug it into one of the USB ports, then power on your PC. As it boots up, you'll likely need to hit a key to enter the BIOS or UEFI. This is where you'll set your USB drive as the primary boot device. Follow the prompts to install Windows, making sure to select the right drive if you have more than one. It'll take a bit of time, but once it's done, you're almost there. Finally, it's time to test your newly built gaming PC. Open up a program like Prime 95 or AIDA 64. These will push your CPU and memory to their limits, ensuring everything is working as it should. Keep an eye on your temperatures and make sure they stay within safe limits. If everything looks good, try installing a game or two and see how they perform. Remember, building a PC is a journey. There might be bumps along the way, but don't get discouraged. It's all part of the process. And when you're finally sitting in front of your custom-built gaming machine, all that effort will be worth it. Congratulations! You've successfully built your own gaming PC. Now go forth and conquer those pixelated worlds, armed with the power of your self-built rig. Building your own gaming PC can be a rewarding experience. We've walked through the whole process together, from understanding the basics to the final steps and testing. Each step is a building block towards creating a machine tailored to your gaming preferences. We started by preparing our workspace, then moved on to the heart of the machine, the CPU. Memory came next with the RAM, followed by the motherboard, the backbone of our operation. Storage was our next focus, before we moved on to the powerhouse of any gaming PC, the graphics card. Finally, we wrapped up with the final steps and testing to ensure our creation was ready to take on any gaming challenge. Remember, patience and attention to detail are your best tools in this journey. Don't be discouraged if things don't go perfectly the first time. Each attempt is a step towards mastery. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Happy gaming!